I need you to pay attention, closely. What I'm about to reveal isn't some bedtime story your father whispered. It's not the sugar-coated lessons your teachers repeated until you were numb, and it's definitely not the fairy tale society spoon-feeds you to keep you weak and compliant. No, what you're about to hear is a truth so raw, so brutal, that it slices your life into two parts, before you knew it and after. Half a millennium ago, a man named Niccolò Machiavelli tore the mask off humanity. He wrote down the darkest laws of power ever uncovered. His writings were so dangerous, so corrosive to illusions, that the church tried to erase them. They banned his book. They damned his name. And yet, behind closed doors, kings, generals, presidents, and CEOs devoured every line in secret. They cursed him in public, but in private, they followed his playbook religiously. Why? Because Machiavelli wasn't describing theories. He was exposing the operating system of human beings, not how we pretend to behave, not how we wish we behaved, but how we actually function when the mask is stripped away. And once you've seen it, there is no unseeing. So ask yourself, why didn't your teachers tell you this? Why didn't your parents? Why does society call strategy manipulation and power evil? The answer is simple, because blind men are easier to control. Weak men raise weaker men. And weakness is the fuel that keeps the system alive. Machiavelli warned us. The man who strives to be good in all things will be destroyed among the many who are not good. Ignorance is not virtue. Ignorance is weakness. And weakness is blood in the water. From this moment on, every smile you see will look like a mask. Every promise will sound like bait. Every moral command will expose itself as a chain. The blindfold is gone. The question is simple. Will you use this truth, or will it use you? You've been told your whole life that man is a rational creature. That logic rules the mind and the mind rules the world. That we weigh options, calculate risks, and choose wisely. That was the biggest lie you were ever sold. Machiavelli knew the truth 500 years ago. He wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can touch." Translation? People don't act based on truth, they act based on what looks true, on what feels true. Illusion wins over reality every single time. Most people don't even want the truth. They want the warm blanket of comfort. The man trapped in a dying relationship doesn't want your advice. He wants the illusion he's still loved. The broke coworker doesn't want financial discipline. He wants the ritual of his daily coffee, the tiny pleasure that keeps the illusion alive. The woman who swears she wants the nice guy? What she craves is the thrill, the fire, the uncertainty of desire, even if it scars her in the process. Logic dies the instant it collides with emotion. Reason evaporates the moment lust, fear, or status walk into the room. And this is why you've been losing the game. You were told to persuade with evidence, to win arguments with facts, to lay out the rational path. But facts don't move people. Feelings do. The man who masters emotion masters the room. He doesn't waste energy proving he's right. He makes others feel he's right. And that is infinitely more powerful. Look at history's most dangerous figures. Hitler didn't claw his way to power with spreadsheets. He did it with speeches that ignited rage, fear, and hope. Corporations don't sell soda with chemical formulas. They sell you bottled happiness. Religions don't spread with logical debates. They spread by seizing hearts, souls, and fears. This is why your arguments fall flat. Why your advice is ignored. Why the people you want to influence keep slipping away, because you still believe people are rational. They're not. They're addicts chasing their next emotional fix. So here it is, your first dark law. Stop trying to change minds with facts. Start shaping emotions. You want someone to follow you? Don't explain what's good for them. Make them feel good about themselves. You want to influence your partner? Don't argue with logic. Make them taste the pain of losing you or the thrill of keeping you. You want to dominate in business? Don't bury people in data. Craft a story so powerful they believe you're destined to win. The man who argues with facts is just a schoolteacher. The man who bends emotions, he is a king. And once you understand this, everything changes. Every smile, every excuse, every truth will look like nothing more than a mask. And when you learn to see through the mask, you'll realize just how simple it is to pull the strings. Strip away the polite smiles, the sermons of morality, the speeches about kindness and equality, and what's left? Two kinds of men. Predators and prey. That's it. That's the law of nature, written long before law books, governments, or religions ever existed. The strong take. the weak are taken from. And here's the cruel reality. Weakness doesn't just fail to protect you. It attracts predators. Weakness is a beacon. Like blood in the ocean, it calls the wolves. Why does the bully target the quiet kid, not the fighter? Why do corporations cut the weakest employees first? Why do women abandon the man who bends but cling to the one who stands firm? Because predators always choose the easy kill. Machiavelli knew this. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Not because fear is noble, but because fear keeps predators away. Love without strength invites betrayal. Fear without love can still protect you. And here's the darkest truth of all. Weak men don't just destroy themselves, they drag down everyone around them. A weak man forces others to carry his weight. A weak man drains the strong until they finally cut him loose. A weak man makes the world harsher for everyone because once predators taste his weakness, they don't stop. They look for the next victim. That's why weakness is more dangerous than cruelty. At least the cruel man stands on his own. The weak man is a black hole pulling others down into his collapse. And yet society tells you to be soft, to be harmless, to expose your weakness and call it sensitivity. They tell you that makes you good. It doesn't. A man who cannot defend himself, his family, or his reputation is not a good man. He's a liability. And liabilities are always discarded. Strength isn't optional, it's the toll you pay for survival. From this moment forward, start viewing every single interaction in your life through that ruthless lens. Ask yourself, who's the predator here and who's the prey? Who is shaping the rules and who is mindlessly obeying them? That's the unspoken battlefield you're standing in every day. This is why women instinctively gravitate toward men who radiate strength without even saying a word. They know at a primal level that weakness can't protect them. And this is also why leaders rise above the masses. Because when chaos erupts, people don't look for the agreeable or the polite. They look for the strongest presence in the room, the one who can shield them or command them. So ask yourself honestly, are you predator or prey? There is no middle ground. Society has been programming you since birth to pick the weaker role. Your parents told you to be polite, to never upset anyone, and people would like you. Your teachers said be agreeable, be a team player, and you'll succeed. And you believed them. But here's the brutal reality they never told you. Niceness isn't the same thing as goodness. Niceness is fear with a smile plastered on its face. Niceness is obedience dressed up like a virtue. It's weakness hiding under a cheap costume. The so-called nice guy doesn't avoid conflict because he's enlightened. He avoids it because he's terrified of rejection. He doesn't speak truth because he's too desperate to be approved of. He bends just to avoid breaking, and in the process he shatters himself. Machiavelli warned us centuries ago, men are so simple, so ready to obey their immediate needs, that a deceiver will never lack victims. And who do you think those victims are? The nice guys, every single time. Look around you. Why do women claim they want the nice guy but lose themselves for the rebel and the rule breaker? Because respect has never been awarded to weakness. Why do corporations preach about teamwork but promote the ruthless strategist? Because power doesn't hand out trophies for approval, it hands them out for results. Why do friends smile politely at the nice guy, yet follow the man who stands tall even when he's hated? Because deep down, everyone knows the truth. Niceness is cheap. Goodness, on the other hand, is forged in fire. Being good means having the hard conversations no one else dares to touch. It means speaking truth even when it scorches every bridge in sight. It means standing unmoved on your principles, even if the entire crowd despises you for it. Nice men grovel for approval. Good men command respect. And here's the dark twist. Women don't respect the nice guy, bosses don't trust the nice guy, and friends don't follow the nice guy. Because niceness without strength isn't virtue, it's repulsion. History proves this beyond question. Caesar, Alexander, Napoleon, yes, they could show mercy, yes, they could be generous, but never at the cost of their strength. Their mercy was strategic. Their generosity served their power. And nothing has changed. Look at today's titans, CEOs, presidents, world champions. Are they nice guys? Not even close. They are fair. They are just. They protect their allies. But they never beg for approval, never fear rejection, never tremble at being disliked. And that is why they lead. Understand this law. You can be kind without being weak. You can be good without being nice. But you cannot be respected if you are weak. So stop chasing approval. Start demanding respect. Because in the hierarchy of power, the worst fate for a man isn't being hated, it's being ignored. He didn't just create Apple, he created a force field. An aura so strong that investors, employees, even enemies bent around his presence. They didn't bow to balance sheets, they bent to the weight of his reputation, a gravity that warped reality itself. Now compare that with the men you know who can't stop explaining themselves, who whine, who justify, who plead to be understood. Do people respect them? No. They don't even inspire envy. They inspire something worse, pity. And pity is poison. Understand this, reputation isn't the truth. It's not about facts, it's about perception. And perception is reality. If you don't seize control of that perception, someone else will twist it and weaponize it against you. Want to be seen as competent? Stop moaning about problems, walk in with solutions. Want to be perceived as valuable? Don't always make yourself accessible. Scarcity is what forges worth. Want to radiate power? Then stop explaining your decisions to people who have no authority to change them. That's what I call strategic authenticity. Show only the parts of yourself that advance your purpose, bury everything else in silence. But here's the brutal truth. Once your reputation fractures, it may never mend. Years, even decades, of work can be burned to ash overnight. And in the brutal game of power, forgiveness doesn't exist. There are no second chances. So protect your reputation more fiercely than your bank account. Defend it more ruthlessly than your relationships. Guard it as if it were your very life, because in a very real sense, it is. Your reputation is the passport into every room, the armor that shields you from betrayal, the sword that cuts through doubt. Without it, you are already in exile. Most men naively believe peace is the default and conflict is the rare exception. But Machiavelli knew the reverse is true. He wrote, "There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others." Understand this well. Conflict isn't something that might happen. It's happening all the time, in whispers, in shadows, behind curtains. The only question is whether you're prepared, or whether you'll be devoured when it finally surfaces. Your life is a battlefield. At work, someone is already eyeing your position, waiting for a single stumble so they can replace you. In your relationships, another man is circling, ready to step in the second you weaken. In your social circle, someone is testing your limits, probing to see just how far they can push before you break. If you are not trained for war, then you've already lost it. The men who rise above, the ones you admire, the ones remembered by history, aren't surprised by conflict. They expect it. They prepare for it. They sharpen themselves during peace so they don't bleed out during war. A true warrior doesn't sharpen his blade when the enemy appears. He sharpens it daily, especially when the world looks calm. History proves this again and again. Nations hoard weapons during peace. Corporations stockpile cash long before recessions strike. Predators remain lean and hungry even when prey is everywhere. So what about you? Do you train when no one is watching? Or do you soften, lulled into the illusion of peace? Machiavelli left us a parable. The lion cannot defend himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to terrify wolves. That is the law. You must be both. The cunning fox, clever enough to see danger before it arrives. The lion, powerful enough to annihilate it when it does. Most men choose one role. They're clever but weak, the fox shredded by wolves. Or they're strong but blind, the lion caught in snares. But the man who becomes both, that man is untouchable. Here is your commandment, never start wars. But if one comes to your door, finish it without hesitation. And here's the paradox. When you are visibly prepared for war, you rarely need to fight at all. Predators sense strength and they always hunt the weaker prey. So become that man. Train when others grow lazy. Save when others waste. Study while others are distracted. Forge yourself into the weapon long before the battle begins. Then when war finally arrives, and it will, you won't panic. You'll already be ready. People love to believe honesty rules the world. That truth always wins. That integrity alone is protection. That's the bedtime story. Machiavelli shattered that illusion. He wrote, "A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promises." He didn't say some rulers lie. He said all of them do. Because deception is not corruption, it is survival. Look at nature. The fox feigns weakness to draw its prey in close. The snake doesn't announce its strike, it disappears into the landscape until it's too late. The anglerfish hides in the black depths, dangling its false light, waiting for the victim to swim willingly into its own death. Nature thrives on deception, and humans are no different. Politicians sell you dreams with no intention of delivering them. Corporations poison you with one hand while wrapping themselves in smiling commercials of family, joy, and freedom with the other. Even inside your own home, betrayal hides in plain sight. Lovers swear forever, until keeping that promise costs them comfort, and then forever ends in a single night. Yet, despite endless evidence, most men cling to the fantasy that honesty alone will save them. They believe that if they're kind enough, sincere enough, transparent enough, the world will reward them. That's the thinking of fools. The deceiver never runs out of prey because most men need to believe the comfortable lie. They crave it. They beg for it. And here lies the brutal truth. If you refuse to deceive, you'll still be deceived. If you refuse to play the game, you're not escaping. You're just another pawn on someone else's chessboard. But this doesn't mean you should lie recklessly, betray without purpose, or cheat for sport. That's not power, that's stupidity dressed as cunning. Real deception is precise, strategic. It's a mask you wear when you must, a knife you unsheath only when required. Speak truth when it strengthens your position, lie when it shields you from destruction. Keep promises only when they serve your rise, break them when keeping them would break you. And above all, never forget, everyone else is already playing by these rules whether you admit it or not. The man who clings to pure honesty is not virtuous. He's prey. And once you accept this, you begin to see the world differently. Every promise reveals itself as bait. Every oath, every performance of virtue by the powerful, just camouflage for ambition. The weak worship honesty and call it purity. The strong wield deception and call it survival. And so the choice comes to you. Will you die with clean hands like prey or live with blood on your claws like a predator? You've been taught since childhood that morality is black and white, that good is rewarded and evil is punished. But that's the myth that keeps men obedient. Machiavelli pierced the illusion. He understood what most men never will. Morality is not truth, it's control. Ask yourself, who decides what is good? Not you. Not the crowd. The powerful decide. When rulers demand obedience, they call it virtue. When they need your sacrifice, they call it honor to die for them. When they fear losing control, they redefine evil as anything that dares to threaten their authority. And the masses? They swallow it whole, grateful for the illusion of order, grateful for the illusion of safety. But history spits on these illusions. The church once burned men alive, calling it morality. Nations justified slavery, conquest, and genocide, calling it morality. Modern governments bomb cities and starve millions, dressing it up as defending freedom. Do you see the pattern? Morality isn't truth. Morality is narrative. And the ones who control the narrative are the ones who own morality itself. Here's the darker twist. Those who preach morality almost never obey it themselves. Why would they? They created it for you, not for them. They tell you lying is wrong while deceiving you daily. They tell you ruthlessness is evil while they crush their rivals without a second thought. They tell you selfishness is immoral while they hoard wealth, resources, and power. Why? Because a population chained by morality is easy to rule. They police each other, condemn each other, bow to authority, and even thank their oppressors, while the rulers break every single law they impose on you. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must learn how not to be good and use this knowledge or not, according to necessity." That is the true law. Don't throw morality away, weaponize it. Appear moral when it strengthens you. Shatter morality when survival demands it. And above all, never allow yourself to be shackled by someone else's moral code. The man who clings stubbornly to morality is not righteous. He is a pawn. But the one who bends morality to his own will become a king. Strip away the speeches, the flags, the prayers, the masks of virtue. What remains underneath it all? One brutal truth: men are moved only by two forces, fear and reward. And Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. Kings keep their crowns not because of some divine right, but because their subjects fear their punishment more than they despise their rule. Corporations keep workers obedient not with love, but with the whip of unemployment and the dangling carrot of promotion. Even parents mold children not just with wisdom, but with a daily diet of punishments and rewards. This is the hidden economy of the world. Not money, not honor, not love. The engine that drives men is fear and reward. Look around you. The politician who terrifies you with enemies, then soothes you with tax breaks. The preacher who paints the flames of hell, then promises the gates of paradise. The lover who withholds affection like a weapon, then floods you with it when you bend. None of this is coincidence. These are ancient tactics. Yet most men fail because they only know how to play one side. They drown others with love, giving so much that their generosity loses all value. Or they rule through fear alone, until resentment festers and rebellion brews in the shadows. Machiavelli's secret was balance. Too much reward breeds entitlement. Too much fear breeds revolt. But the man who alternates between the two, the man who starves you just long enough to make you ache, then feeds you at the peak of your hunger, that man creates loyalty stronger than chains. Think of the abusive relationship where the victim never leaves. Why? Because cruelty is always followed by kindness. After the storm comes calm, and the cycle itself becomes addictive. Think of the tyrant who survives decades in power. Why? Because he punishes enough to inspire terror, but rewards just enough to keep hope alive. That is the law. He who controls the balance of fear and reward controls men. So turn the mirror on yourself. How do you lead? Through endless giving, begging for love? Or through icy fear, forcing obedience? Both are weakness. The true Machiavellian mixes poison with honey, pain with pleasure, until dependence is complete and escape feels impossible. Ask yourself, what does this person fear losing most? What do they crave with all their being? Become the one who holds both in your hands, and you own them. They tell you trust is sacred, solid, eternal. But Machiavelli knew better. Trust is not stone, it is glass. It glitters, it reflects light, it looks beautiful. But one crack and it shatters beyond repair. First law, trust is temporary. It lasts only as long as it serves both sides. Think about it. How fast did a friend's loyalty vanish the moment you no longer served his needs? How quickly did your trust in a leader collapse after a single betrayal? How many relationships died over one broken promise, no matter how many good deeds came before it? This is not the exception, it is the rule. Second law, trust doesn't need to be real. It only needs to look real. The con artist thrives not because he is trustworthy, but because he seems trustworthy. The politician doesn't need genuine trust, only enough to win votes. The seducer doesn't need unconditional loyalty, just enough to lower defenses. And the third, darkest law, the man who trusts too much is easier to control than the man who trusts nothing. Blind trust is a leash you hand to another, a rope they can tighten around your throat whenever they choose. This is why weak men are consumed. They confuse trust for love, for honor, for morality. But trust is nothing more than leverage. And the man who sees this truth is always the one holding the leash. So carve this into your mind, never depend on trust. Use it, mold it, exploit it, but never stake your survival on it. Because trust is glass, and glass was made to break. Now you've seen what most men never will. That human are not rational, they are emotional. That loyalty without reciprocity is weakness. That reputation is armor sharper than steel. That war is not coming, it is always here. That kindness is weakness dressed as virtue. That fear lasts longer than love. That deception is survival. That morality is a cage. And that trust is nothing but glass. These are the laws they never wanted you to know. Truths too dangerous to teach openly. Because once you see them, you cannot unseen them. From this point on, every smile will look like a mask. Every promise will sound like bait. Every sermon about virtue will feel like a chain. The blindfold is gone. And now comes the dangerous part, knowledge. In the hands of the weak, it turns into paranoia, fear that crushes them under the weight of truth. But in the hands of the strong, it becomes a weapon that can bend the world to your will. So the question is no longer will you learn these truths? You already have. The question is, what will you do with them? Will you bury them, pretend you never heard them, and crawl back into the herd? Or will you carry them like a blade into battle, and rise above the men who never saw what you now see? Machiavelli did not leave behind warnings. He left blueprints. Blueprints for dominance, for influence, for survival. And I will reveal them to you. But be warned, the next lesson will not make you comfortable. It will make you untouchable. And once you reach that point, you will never be ignored again. If you're ready for that next step, hit subscribe, tap like, and share this video with someone who dares to see the world without the blindfold. The next chapter begins when you decide to step into it.